Listen carefully, for this is not just another message. It is a word meant only for those destined to rise above the ordinary. True mastery is not earned through luck or power. It is awakened when you recognize that you have been chosen for a purpose greater than yourself. This calling is subtle, quiet, and often hidden in the shadows of your everyday life. It is not about fame, wealth, or recognition. It is about aligning your actions, your heart, and your mind with the divine rhythm of the universe. There is a path few dare to walk. Shaolin wisdom whispers that the chosen journey begins in solitude, where silence becomes your guide. Challenges will appear, not to break you, but to carve clarity and strength into your being. Discipline is your companion, patience, your teacher. Few understand that these trials are not obstacles. They are invitations to step into the version of yourself that the world has yet to see. In this video, you will discover ancient teachings that unlock resilience, sharpen awareness, and ignite the quiet power that lives within. You will learn the subtle practices that turn ordinary moments into acts of spiritual mastery. I will share insights rarely spoken of outside the walls of Shaolin temples, truths about the mind, the body, and the spirit that can transform your daily life. By the end of this journey, you will understand how to move through the world with purpose, presence, and unwavering faith in the path laid out for you. You will see how discipline, mindfulness, and alignment with divine intent are not mere concepts. They are living, breathing forces shaping every choice you make. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. I invite you to step into this journey with me. Subscribe now so together we can walk the path of true mastery, one mindful step at a time. There is a moment when the world falls away, and only the whisper of your own breath remains. In that silence, you begin to hear something deeper, a voice that is not your own, yet has always been guiding you. This is the voice of God, speaking through the quiet chambers of your mind, revealing truths that noise and haste can never reach. In the early hours of the morning, before the sun rises, Shaolin monks sit in stillness. Their bodies are poised, yet their minds are untethered. They do not seek distraction or comfort, they seek clarity. Each inhale and exhale becomes a thread, connecting them to a reality beyond the physical, a rhythm that cannot be felt with the eyes, but only with the heart. Days turn into months, months into years, and slowly the constant chatter of the mind begins to dissolve. When you practice this silence, even for moments at a time, the world's demands and judgments fade. The endless pool of anxiety, ambition, and doubt loses its grip. In their place arises a quiet knowing, a map of purpose that was always within you, patiently waiting for attention. Shaolin masters understand that every action taken without inner clarity is like a river without a channel, wild and wasted. But when the mind is trained to listen, decisions emerge not from impulse, but from alignment with something far greater than oneself. The process is neither fast nor easy. Stillness challenges the ego, exposes fear, and confronts impatience. Yet within that challenge lies liberation. By cultivating silence, you learn to navigate life not as a reaction to circumstance, but as a dance with truth itself. Each pause, each breath, each quiet moment becomes a step closer to seeing beyond the illusions of the world, hearing the guidance that has always been quietly waiting, calling you forward. True mastery does not dwell in one part of the self. It is woven through body, mind, and spirit like threads in a single, unbreakable fabric. The body is not merely a vessel, it is the instrument through which intention moves into the world. Strength is cultivated not through force alone, but through mindful movement, repetition, and respect for its limits and potential. Each muscle, each posture becomes a teacher, revealing endurance, patience, and precision. The mind, like water, must be clear and still. Thoughts left unchecked cloud perception and distort truth. Through meditation, reflection, and conscious awareness, clarity emerges. Decisions no longer arise from impulse or fear, but from a place of quiet discernment. Ancient masters observed that the mind, when disciplined, becomes a lens through which the spirit can shine with unerring brightness. The spirit, delicate yet infinite, anchors both body and mind in purpose. It is the force that whispers when the path seems hidden, that steadies the heart when trials press from all sides. Without spirit, strength becomes arrogance, and clarity becomes cold detachment. Only when the body, mind, and spirit are harmonized does true insight arise, a knowing that is both humble and powerful, still yet alive with flow. Daily rituals are not empty routines. They are acts of alignment. Each conscious breath, each intentional movement, each moment spent in reflection strengthens the invisible threads connecting the physical, mental, and spiritual selves. The ancient sages understood that mastery is not a destination but a practice, a constant cultivation of balance. Neglect one, and the others falter. When all three are nurtured together, life itself becomes a living meditation, a continuous flow of energy and awareness that moves in rhythm with the universe. In this harmony, the ordinary transforms into sacred practice. Every step, every gesture, every thought carries purpose. Mastery, in its deepest sense, is not an achievement. It is a way of being. There comes a time when every path marked for the chosen becomes steep and shadowed. Struggle is not a curse, but a fire that tempers the spirit, shaping strength where softness once lingered. Pain enters quietly, often unannounced, testing patience and resolve. Failure may follow, pressing against pride and expectation, and isolation, though unwelcome, becomes a companion, teaching lessons that no crowd or applause could ever reveal. The Shaolin masters speak of these trials not as punishments, but as invitations. Each hardship is a mirror, reflecting the parts of the self that remain unrefined. The body learns endurance, the mind learns focus, and the spirit discovers depth it never knew existed. In the silence of struggle, clarity emerges. The chaos outside becomes secondary to the inner stillness cultivated through attention and discipline. Resilience is not granted at birth, it is forged. Just as metal must pass through flame to gain strength, the soul must move through difficulty to awaken its full potential. Each setback, each moment of doubt, each lonely step is an exercise in mastery, an opportunity to practice calm in the face of chaos, patience when the world demands speed, and unwavering faith when certainty is absent. The ancient sages understood that life's trials are sacred instruments. They carve space for introspection, shape character, and cultivate an unshakable inner foundation. Those who embrace struggle do not merely survive, they transform. Strength becomes quiet, rooted in understanding rather than display. Endurance becomes graceful, tempered by awareness, and the spirit, tested and refined, rises with a depth of wisdom that cannot be learned from comfort alone. In this way, hardship ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a teacher, a companion, a sacred flame that illuminates the path of mastery. The chosen do not flee the fire, they step into it, knowing that what emerges is not just resilience, but a profound alignment with the highest version of themselves. There is a quiet power in the way each day unfolds, in the subtle choices that often go unnoticed. Every breath, every gesture, every thought carries weight far beyond what the eyes can see. In the ancient teachings, life itself is viewed as a series of deliberate movements, each one echoing through the unseen layers of destiny. Nothing is trivial. Every action is a note in a vast sacred symphony. Mindfulness is more than stillness of the mind. It is a way of being awake to the hidden currents that guide the world. When the body moves with intention, the mind observes without judgment, and the heart aligns with truth, life becomes an act of devotion. Shaolin philosophy reminds us that mastery is not confined to the meditation hall or the training ground. It is present in the simplest acts, the careful placement of a footstep, the measured swing of an arm, the deliberate kindness offered to another. Living with awareness transforms the ordinary into the sacred. Eating, walking, speaking, or resting all become expressions of alignment with something greater than oneself. When every action is conscious, energy flows freely, and the resonance of spirit amplifies. The smallest decisions ripple outward, shaping character, opening doors, and drawing circumstances that reflect the inner state. Ancient sages observed that the mind untethered to purpose scatters its own power, while the one who moves with awareness becomes a vessel of clarity, strength, and grace. Each moment becomes a teacher, each challenge an opportunity to refine presence and perception. Intentional living is not rigid or forced, it is fluid, responsive, and rooted in understanding that the divine is woven into every heartbeat, every encounter, every step along the path. In this way, life ceases to be random or chaotic. Each choice, each act becomes a bridge between the seen and unseen, a mirror of discipline and a reflection of the spirit fully awake to its own potential. Greatness is rarely loud. It does not demand attention or recognition. Instead, it moves quietly like water shaping stone over centuries, persistent, patient, and unseen by most. The ancient masters understood this deeply. True strength is rooted not in display, but in alignment with something far greater than oneself. When the heart surrenders to divine will, power becomes gentle, precise, and unshakable. Humility is the soil in which this power grows. A humble mind does not cling to pride or achievement. It listens, it observes. It allows the subtle truths of life to seep in unblocked by ego or expectation. Shaolin philosophy teaches that surrender is not weakness. It is the disciplined act of yielding so that the highest wisdom may enter. The body trained, the mind clear, and the spirit open, the practitioner becomes a conduit for clarity, insight, and purposeful action. Those who walk this path learn that insight often comes in silence, in moments overlooked by the impatient or ambitious, a lesson whispered in the rustle of leaves, a truth revealed in the stillness of dawn, a guidance felt in the pause between breath and thought. Humility does not diminish the soul, it expands it. It clears the clutter that clouds perception, allowing discernment to arise naturally. Through surrender, strength becomes effortless. Challenges are met not with force or reaction, but with steady awareness. Decisions flow from alignment rather than desire. The world may measure greatness by applause, conquest, or visibility, but the one who practices humility knows a different standard: harmony with divine rhythm, mastery of self, and the quiet certainty that comes from walking a path of integrity, discipline, and inner stillness. In this space, power is calm, wisdom is alive, and every step becomes an expression of alignment with a truth that speaks softly yet moves mountains within. There is a subtle strength in giving that asks for nothing in return. True spiritual mastery does not seek recognition or reward. It flows naturally, like a river nourishing the land without demanding attention. In the quiet acts of kindness, the soul finds its deepest resonance, and the heart begins to align with a purpose far greater than personal desire. Serving others is not simply an act of charity, it is an extension of inner discipline. Shaolin philosophy teaches that compassion and strength are not separate, they are inseparable aspects of mastery. When a gesture is offered without expectation, it becomes a bridge between the self and the divine. Each act of service, no matter how small, echoes through the unseen layers of existence, strengthening harmony within and around you. The one who serves understands that giving is both a mirror and a practice, a way to refine patience, temper ego, and cultivate quiet power. Ancient masters observed that the highest power is gentle. It does not command or coerce, it moves through subtlety, influence, and care. A soft hand can steady a troubled mind. A calm word can untangle confusion, and a deliberate act of generosity can awaken the spirit in ways that force and authority never could. Discipline is required not only to endure hardship, but also to give freely, to act with intention, and to remain present in the moment of offering. The soul that embraces this practice begins to see life differently. Every encounter, every need, every opportunity to help becomes sacred. Actions are no longer driven by desire or fear, but by understanding and alignment. In this flow, personal mastery and spiritual depth converge. Strength is measured not by what is gained, but by what is given, and in giving without expectation, the heart becomes a vessel of quiet power, clarity, and profound inner peace. Learning without understanding is like carrying water in a leaky vessel. Effort is wasted, and the essence never reaches its destination. Knowledge alone, no matter how vast, cannot awaken the deeper currents of insight. Wisdom is born at the intersection of experience and reflection, where what is learned becomes what is lived, and what is lived becomes what is known with clarity of heart. The chosen walk this path with intention. They do not simply accumulate facts or memorize teachings. They engage in disciplined practice. Meditation trains the mind to observe without distraction, revealing patterns of thought and the subtle movements of the spirit. Study provides structure and depth, connecting individual experience to timeless truths. Self-examination illuminates shadows within, exposing ego, fear, and hidden desire, so that understanding can arise unclouded. Each step of this practice strengthens discernment, allowing insight to emerge naturally without force. Ancient masters understood that the mind, when constantly occupied, becomes deaf to guidance. The one who cultivates stillness creates space for wisdom to enter. In the quiet, answers reveal themselves in ways that logic alone cannot produce. A simple observation, a sudden clarity, a moment of recognition. These are the gifts of a mind trained to listen. Patience and discipline are required, for insight is rarely immediate. It arrives in its own time like dawn breaking slowly over the horizon. When the mind is receptive, divine guidance is no longer hidden. It flows through intuition, through understanding that transcends words, and through actions that feel effortlessly aligned with the greater path. The chosen learn to trust this process, knowing that wisdom is a living practice, shaped by reflection, tempered by experience, and illuminated by the quiet stillness that opens the heart to truth. In this harmony, knowledge transforms into understanding, and understanding blossoms into mastery of self and spirit. There is a subtle trap in holding too tightly, clinging to outcomes, to the shape of your life, to the image of who you think you are. In grasping, even with the best intentions, the flow of the spirit is obstructed. Energy stagnates, decisions become weighted with fear, and the path that was once clear grows tangled. Shaolin philosophy teaches that control is often the greatest barrier to true freedom. Release is not surrender in weakness, it is mastery in action. The mind, trained in mindfulness, learns to observe without attachment. Emotions are felt without being owned, thoughts are acknowledged without being enslaved, and the heart remains open even when circumstances are uncertain. Each moment of letting go is a step closer to alignment, a practice in trusting that life is guided by forces larger than the self. The chosen understand that perfection is not found in the outcomes they desire, but in the presence they cultivate. By acting without attachment, they conserve energy, sharpen clarity, and move with grace through challenges. Fear loses its grip because it no longer feeds on resistance. Identity loosens its rigid walls, allowing the true self to emerge, a self in harmony with the divine current that shapes every event. Ancient masters often likened this practice to water flowing around obstacles. Water does not fight, it bends, adapts, and moves with steady persistence. In the same way, the one who releases attachment moves through life with effortless strength. Trust becomes not a passive hope, but an active awareness that every step, every trial, and every delay is part of a greater unfolding. Through discipline, reflection, and mindful presence, the chosen learn the art of release. In this, freedom is discovered not as a distant goal, but as a living state. The heart flows with life instead of resisting it, and the spirit dances in alignment with a plan that is always perfect, always unfolding, always whole. Each moment offers a quiet invitation. Every choice, every breath is a chance to step into alignment with a truth that exists beyond the immediate and the visible. Life becomes a canvas, and each action a brushstroke, painting the reflection of inner clarity and conscious purpose. Those who cultivate mastery understand that it is not an act of self-interest, but a disciplined obedience to a path larger than themselves. Ancient sages observed that when the heart and mind are attuned to divine intention, life shifts, Challenges no longer strike with the sting of confusion, they arrive as lessons carefully arranged to refine patience, wisdom, and presence. The hardships that once seemed burdensome reveal themselves as sacred teachers, shaping perspective and tempering character. Mastery is measured not by what is achieved, but by how one navigates the currents of existence with grace and awareness. Living in harmony with God's purpose requires vigilance and inner discipline. Every decision, no matter how small, carries weight. When taken with awareness, even routine actions resonate with intention, cultivating a subtle strength that guides the body, sharpens the mind, and steadies the spirit. Shaolin teachings remind us that mastery is never a claim to control the world. It is the cultivation of presence, the ability to move through life attuned to both the seen and unseen forces that shape reality. The chosen recognize that true power is quiet, deliberate, and steady. Each obstacle becomes an opportunity to practice patience, each delay a chance to deepen understanding, and each success a reminder to remain humble. Life, approached this way, transforms from a series of events into sacred practice. Breathing, walking, speaking, and acting become rituals of alignment, each step a reflection of inner mastery and the unfolding of a purpose greater than the self. In this harmony, every moment is sacred, and every breath carries the resonance of divine truth. The journey of the chosen is not meant to be easy, yet every step carries meaning. Through silence, discipline, mindful action, humility, and generous heart, the body, mind, and spirit are brought into harmony. Life's challenges are not obstacles, but invitations to align more deeply with divine purpose. Each choice, each moment is an opportunity to practice presence, patience, and devotion. As you move through your days, remember that mastery is not found in grand gestures or fleeting victories, but in the quiet, consistent alignment of your thoughts, actions, and heart with what is higher and true. Let mindfulness guide you, let humility temper your strength, and let generosity open the doors of inner peace. Even the smallest acts of conscious living ripple outward, shaping not only your path but the world around you. Carry this understanding gently with you. Apply it in your routines, in your decisions, and in your interactions. Allow the lessons of discipline, reflection, and surrender to become part of who you are. And notice how life begins to flow with a quiet clarity and purpose. Thank you for sharing this moment of insight. May your path continue to unfold with grace and presence. If this message resonates, join our journey by subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire, and let us walk together in the pursuit of mindful mastery, devotion, and unwavering faith.